Morning, Econ students. Welcome back. Today we're going to be going over Review FRQ number 5 and some of the concepts that have to do with this one. So let's get started. Let's roll with it. So first, assume a country's economy is in long-run equilibrium. There you go. Country at long-run equilibrium. Everything looks good. We're at long-run aggregate supply. We're at Y sub F, so full employment. So life is good. However, let me get to part A. Explain how an increase in the price of oil, an important natural resource, will affect the following in the short run: real output and price level. As always, you don't have to draw the graph, but it helps. Okay, so we're talking about a natural resource, any natural resource or wages. If it increases in price, that affects short run aggregate supply. So in this case, we're looking at a situation where price of oil increases. That makes everything more expensive. If it's more expensive, if it costs more to make, we will make less. Going all the way back to Unit 1, basic supply rules. So short run aggregate supply, that AS2, shifts to the left. Y2 and PL2. So this would be an example. You should remember the term cost push inflation. Okay, when the price of resources goes up and it causes the price level to go up as well. So you look at part A, what happened to real output? Well, GDP went from Y sub F to Y2. GDP went down. Okay, so output decreased and price level went from PL1 to PL2. So price level increased. So there you have it. Answers to A. Cost push inflation at its finest. So the second one, and you're not asked to draw the Phillips curve. I'm going to go through it anyway, and hopefully that helps you understand. Most of you guys got this right yesterday. So we have our unemployment rate on the x-axis, inflation rate on the y-axis, and here's our short-run Phillips curve. Like so, showing an inverse relationship between unemployment and inflation. That as unemployment goes down, okay, inflation goes up. As inflation goes down, unemployment goes up. Basic Phillips curve relationship. And just we'll throw some stats in here. Let's say when we're at full employment, we're at a point like A. Well, let's say this is 5% unemployment and 3% inflation. So there's our short-run Phillips curve at full employment. I didn't ask to draw. We could draw a long-run Phillips curve through there, but I don't want to complicate things. So anyway, when we have movement in aggregate demand is going to cause movement on the Phillips curve. So for instance, if we're talking about a situation where the government cut taxes or the Fed bought bonds, these are expansionary policies. Expansionary policies would cause movement this way toward inflation, away from unemployment. We're using contractionary policies like cutting government spending or raising taxes. Those are designed to fight inflation. We move this way. That's not what happens here. What happens here, when we're talking about the price of oil increasing, that's a shift in aggregate supply. Aggregate supply shifts, remember, cause the entire Phillips curve to move. And from the last one, we had output going down and inflation going up, or price level going up from part A. That means we're moving the entire Phillips curve. We'll call this PC2. This direction. So let's say we ended up at a point like B. Say 7% unemployment, 5% inflation. So the entire Phillips curve shifts to the right. When aggregate supply goes down and we end up with higher unemployment and higher inflation, okay, otherwise known as stagflation, the Phillips curve shifts to the right to demonstrate that. Okay, so shifts in supply, aggregate supply going down, Phillips curve shifts to the right. For higher unemployment and higher inflation. Part C. Assume the central bank of the economy responds to the higher price of oil by increasing the money supply. Explain the process by which, and I feel like you've had questions like this before. This point, hopefully it's really easy for you to remember, but we'll go through it anyway. Part C. Assume the central bank responds by increasing the money supply. Explain the process by which by which the increase in money supply will affect aggregate demand in the short run. So money supply goes up, interest rates go down. Basic relationship there. If interest rates go down, businesses will borrow more for capital goods and equipment and machinery and all kinds of good stuff. Build factories, they'll invest more. If they invest more, aggregate demand goes up. If aggregate demand goes up, real GDP goes up, price level goes up. And you can also throw in unemployment rate would go down whenever we're talking about increasing output. We need more workers, so the unemployment rate would go down. And there you have your answer for C. Part D, and there were a couple questions about this yesterday. Assume that instead of using monetary policy in response to the oil price increase, the government reduces business taxes, which lowers production costs. The emphasis, you have to read these questions carefully. The emphasis is on lowering production costs. So remember we said in part A, if it costs more to make, we'll make less. In this case, lowering business taxes makes it cheaper to make. If it costs less to make, we will make more. So what's happening here is an increase in aggregate supply. Okay, so we'll just map this out really quick. Make it a fast one. I know we were in cost push inflation earlier. We won't worry about that initial position. I just want to get a visual on here. So let's say that's equilibrium, and we won't worry about long run aggregate supply. If short run aggregate supply costs less to make due to lower business taxes, we will make more. Yeah, and there are different ways you could approach a question like that, but again, read it carefully because it emphasizes lower production costs as an aggregate supply question. If it talked about lower business taxes leading to an increase in investment spending or leading businesses to spend more, then it would be an aggregate demand question. So you got to read these carefully. So aggregate supply increased, PL1, PL2, so short run aggregate supply shifts to the right, and as a result, real GDP goes up, price level goes down. And there you have it, the answer to D. So another one following up today. Hope you have a excellent Wednesday, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Talk about Review FRQ number 6.